Mangalacharan. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad-kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saguna-ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana-sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saguna-lalita Shri Vishakhan-vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubheva-cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachanam pangam langyate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Deenataranam Paramanandam Madhavam. So yesterday we had discussed up to the point where Mother Yashoda, running from behind Krishna, catches hold of him. And as she catches Krishna, Krishna is displaying all the so Krishna is displaying all the symptoms of fear, distress. The distress is mostly fake, fear is genuine. So he's crying and he's rubbing his eyes, trying to evoke sympathy from Mother Yashoda. So let's see what happens next. So we'll go on to verse 12. Who's reciting verse 12? You said? Okay, go ahead.
Tyaktva yastim sutam bitam Vijñaya arbhagavatsala Iyasha kilatam baddum Damna atadvirya kovida. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities.
Thank you. So, what's the last? Repeat the last word in the Sanskrit of the verse.
Damna atadvirya kovida.
Yeah, I said the last word. Last word is COVID.
COVID.
So when I was reading it, I found it interesting that Bhagavatam is COVID. The translation of COVID is one who is so much in love with Krishna that they don't care about the opulence of Krishna. So that is Yashoda Mai's position. Now it's Kovida, so the negates the Covid. And in Sanskrit, the long A negates the meaning. So I was thinking Covid is the opposite of it. One is so much distressed by the material condition that they tend to forget Krishna. So, so in the previous verse we had seen that Mother Yashoda is not really very angry with Krishna. She mildly chastised him. She was smiling when she sees that he has broken the pot of yogurt. But yet she wants to discipline him. So she is coming more from the perspective that I am his mother, he is naughty. If his naughtiness is not checked, he will become more naughty and will not grow up to be a properly situated child. So my duty as a mother is that I should discipline him. This verse also establishes the philosophical basis of the Damodar Leela. So Sukdev Goswami says that in this that Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. So this can be a point of a discussion that how is it possible to love Krishna without knowing him, right? Because as as practicing devotees, we do put a lot of stress on knowing Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita is devoted to that. Krishna, we understand Krishna. Most of the Bhagavatam is devoted to knowing Krishna. And the understanding is that without Sambandha Gyan, without understanding your relationship with Krishna, how is it possible that you can appreciate Krishna? Sometimes people say, well, Krishna is God, but they don't really do anything about it. Right? So, not considered to be properly situated. Right? Because if you know Krishna is God, then do something about it. Right? Worship Him, understand His instructions. Here it seems to be the opposite. That Yashoda Mai's ignorance of the position of Krishna is being glorified. How do we reconcile it? So let's assume I come to you and I say, I don't really know. I'm like Yashoda Mai. I don't really care. I don't really know about Krishna. I just love him. What will you say? Can you hear that?
I'd say, are you free of all material attachments? Are you free of all the vices? Are you always remembering Krishna, like 24/7? Those would be my questions.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, if one is in love with Krishna, that it covers the knowledge of the opulence of Krishna, then that love should manifest. So how does the love of Krishna manifest? Just like love for anybody else. Even in the material world we see glimpses of that when a young boy and a girl fall in love with one another, they're constantly looking for opportunities to meet, they talk to one another. When they're not with one another, they think about one another. Symptom of love. Similarly, if there is somebody who is making this point that I don't really care about the divinity of Krishna, I'm really in love with him, then where's the symptom of that love? Right? How do you spend your days? How do you direct your efforts? You look at Yashoda Mai. The first thing she gets up in the morning is how to take care of Krishna. So she's churning yogurt, she's put the milk on the pot. When she sees Krishna in trouble, she almost, had so much of anxiety, she almost gives up her life, so much of anxiety at the time. So such devotees are mamatva. Mamatva devotees means very, very advanced devotees who have transcended all the considerations of Vaidhi Bhakti, all the considerations of Gyan, Dhyan, and they are simply immersed in the pure love of Krishna. So while we aspire to be there, we can't artificially pretend to be there. So we are more in what is known as Tadiya Bhav. Tadiya Bhav is that our perfection is to reach a state where we think that we belong to Krishna. Yashodamai thinks that Krishna belongs to her. We can't be at that stage, but we can definitely aspire to be at a stage where we say that we belong to Krishna. Like Arjun, he was like, I am your weapon, do with me as you please. The devotees of Krishna, they allow themselves completely to be used in the service of Krishna and his devotees. And Krishna, yeah?
So, but that was also the mode that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to propagate, that, which is what Ashtusha Padritam Pinashtana, that you use me whichever way you like. So that we are supposed to be followers of Mahaprabhu, right? So that is the mode.
That is the Tatiya Bhav, right? Aslisha Vapadatam Pinashtumam, that you are my worshipable Lord, whether you embrace me or you leave me broken after life after life. Right? So when you say I belong to Krishna, then there is no sense of expectation or reciprocation. That I belong to Krishna as long as, and then we can fill in the blank, as long as Krishna is taking care of our health and wealth and material aspirations or even spiritual aspirations, right? So the perfection of the Tadiya Bhav is that I belong to Krishna, period. Regardless of whether, if Krishna chooses to reciprocate, it is good. If Krishna chooses not to reciprocate, it is good at the same time. Unconditional love. So this is essentially, in Bhagavad Gita, it is, Krishna says in chapter 4, Ye thamam prapadyante tam satye prasadayam, that as one worships to me, I reciprocate. So because Yashodamai is approaching Krishna with Mamatva Bhav, that you belong to me, Krishna is reciprocating with the same mood that I belong to you. So he actually considers himself as the son of Yashodamai. When Yashodamai chastises him, he actually experiences the fear that a child fears, child experiences when the mother is chastising. And in the Bhagavatam, later on in Krishna Lila, we see that how Krishna tries very hard to please Mother Yashoda and the gopis, because the gopis there are like his mother. Like sometimes they would call Krishna, come here, and Krishna would come over, and then they would say that, you want butter? He would say yes. He said dance. So then Krishna would dance for them, and they would say not a good dance, no butter for you. And then he would complain, no, it was a good dance. They say okay, take some butter. Or when Nand Baba would come, then Krishna would run inside to fetch the shoes of Nand Baba. And then because he was so small, he couldn't hold the shoes, so he would put it on his head. And very proudly to show how strong he is, he would carry the shoes on his head for his father. So just like a son tries to please, a child tries to please the parents. So it is said that Krishna has 4 kinds of energies. Right? Krishna has what is known as Mahamaya. So with Mahamaya, he bewilders those who are averse to him, who are inimical to him. So under the influence of Mahamaya, the jiva thinks that I am the body, that my senses are meant for my enjoyment. The ahamamatva, that I and mine, that aham, what's the verse in Bhagavad Gita? I forget, it's in the 16th chapter, where the person says that I am the enjoyer, I am the doer, I am the ultimate cause of everything. I have created this family of mine. I am supporting them. They are dependent on me. So that's the influence of the jivas who come under Krishna's external energy, Mahamaya. And then Krishna has Yoga Maya, by which he bewilders those who are in the spiritual world. But it's a different kind of bewilderment. He bewilders them into forgetting about his so in Vaikuntha, the perfected devotees, they are aware of the opulence of Krishna, but yet they are able to relate with him, because they are under the influence of Krishna's Yogamaya. So Yogamaya, Mahamaya is what pushes the jiva away from Krishna. Yogamaya is what connects the jiva to Krishna. And then he has a third energy by which he bewilders the residents of Vraja, who actually completely disregard Krishna's divinity. So in Vraj, there are to open this one. So in Vraj, there are so many wonderful pastimes that Krishna performs. Right? From the time that he is born, the killing of the Putana, Shnavarta, Shaktasur, then Govardhan Leela, so many pastimes he performs, does not make any difference on the Vrajvasis. Like they're still chastising Krishna, they're still getting angry at him, they're still having fun with him. The Gopas, when they go out, they eat one morsel of food, half of it they break off, and then they give it to Krishna, that you eat, right? Because they have no, they are not impressed by Krishna's divinity. It's not that they are in ignorance, because you see that they are aware of Krishna being the personality of Godhead. Like when Indra was throwing rain, then what did they do? They all said, Krishna, Krishna, please help me. Krishna was 7 years old at the time. Why would an entire village of people try to take shelter of a 7-year-old? Right? Because they were aware of the fact that what Krishna's position is, but they don't care about it. They're under the influence of Krishna's energy. And then there is a fourth energy of Krishna, by which he bewilders himself to have loving pastime with his devotees. So this is an example of it, that Krishna, the personality of God, is running away in fear from Mother Yashoda. So this is Krishna's internal energy acting upon himself. So what will Mother Yashoda do? So she has the stick in hand. Now she has caught Krishna. Stick is in the left hand. With the right hand she catches Krishna. And then she sees that Krishna is terrified of the stick. So she throws the stick away. And previously we were discussing that the stick is jada. It represents matter. And as long as one is in connection with matter, then Krishna will not put his glance on you. That's why when he was looking back, even though Yashoda Maya was creeping on him, he didn't see her. But with the same stick in hand, Mother Yashoda caught Krishna and threw the stick away. So the acharyas say, this is what sadhakas do. They use material energy in the service of Krishna, and having attained Krishna, they transcend that material energy. So practicing devotees, what do? Because they haven't perfected their bhakti. So they have jobs, they have families, they have houses, they have obligations. while maintaining all of that, they nourish their Krishna consciousness. And as far as possible, they try and use all of that in the service of Krishna. So if you have a house, like Sachin Prabhu is doing, use it to invite devotees. Have Krishna Katha. Have deities in the house and worship. The house doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the deities. The notion of aham mamatva automatically goes away. So, but yet, this is the material aspect of existence. So Yashoda Mai, after catching Krishna, she throws the stick away. And she doesn't need, well, she never needed, but she never needed any material help. But the metaphor there is that once the devotee grasps the lotus feet of Krishna, then the dependence on the material aspect ceases at that time. So now Krishna is in Mother Yashoda's hand, and in Gopal Champu Jiva Goswami, he relates the conversation that's going on between Krishna and Mother Yashoda. Krishna's Mother Yashoda says, Chaura Rajanama. He says, "Oh, you king of thieves." So Krishna's ego is hurt now. That his mother is calling him not only a thief, but calling him like Chaura Rajanama, like king of thieves. So Krishna is 3 years old. So he responds, Chaurasya Pitra Gotranam. Right, so he says that I belong to the Gotra of Nanda Baba. There are no thieves in my Gotra, but your Gotra has lot of thieves in them. So he's saying Narottamam. He's saying my father is Narottamam. He is the best of everyone. So Krishna is very politically, because it is very difficult for wife to criticize husband. So he knows Yashoda Mai is not going to criticize Nanda Baba. So he's establishing his link to her husband, his father, saying that my father is Narottamam. He's very great. There are no thieves in his lineage. Now Yashoda Mai is not going to say that your father comes from a dynasty of thieves. So he said, but your family has definitely has thieves in it. So Yashoda Mai is stumped. So she tries another trick. And she says that it is true that your father is Narottama, but you are Chaurottama. He says your father is the best of the persons, you are the best of the thieves. So you are clearly a deviation. And not only are you Chaurottamam, you are Vanapriya. You are the lover of monkeys. So monkeys by nature, they are mischievous, they steal things. So she says that because you are so fond of monkeys, you have acquired the nature of monkeys. You're stealing things, you're doing naughty things. So she says you have developed Vanar Prakriti, the nature of monkeys. So now Krishna's ego is even more hurt. So earlier on she was calling him thief. Now she's calling him monkey. So Krishna says that okay, if you think that I have the nature of monkey, then I will go to the jungle and live with the monkeys. So let me go. Right away I am going to the jungle and I will live there with the monkeys. So now Yashoda Mai is worried because Krishna has a reputation of disappearing. Because he considered the whole Braj to be his own house. So he would go in the morning, he would go to somebody's house and take a nap over there, goes to somebody else's house, eat their food, goes to somebody else's house, play with over there. So, and when it was time for bed, then Mother Yashoda would start this whole excursion of searching for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? So she would go one house to another. And that person would say, yeah, Krishna was here, but only in afternoon. And then go to some other house, and then he was there, but he was doing this. And then finally, at the end of the whole, Krishna would be peacefully sleeping somewhere in somebody's house. So Mother Yashoda was scared that Krishna is so naughty that he will actually run away into the forest. And I'm so busy, I'm preparing from Deepavali, tomorrow is Indra Puja, I have no time to waste time searching for him. So she says, I will bind him. So she gets this, makes this resolution to bind Krishna. One point I do want to make about some of the more esoteric aspects that are revealed by acharyas, like the conversation between Yashodamai and Krishna, does not appear in the Bhagavatam. It's written by Jiva Goswami and Gopal Champu when he was in the Radha Damodar temple. And other acharyas explain that when these exalted acharyas in their meditation, they are able to enter into the pastimes of Radha Krishna, and they are able to discern details that for various reasons are not given in the scriptures. So it should not be considered to be flights of fancy or interpolation. Like if I say something, it doesn't have any meaning. Like I say Krishna and Yashoda talking like this, I have no access to what Krishna and Yashoda were talking. But when Jiva Goswami says, when Bilvangla Thakur says, Sanatana Goswami says, Srila Prabhupada says, it's a different level. They have a different level of realization. They're speaking based on, like Hari Sori, he gives so many details, and he says Rasayan. So Rasayan means medicine. Right? Rasayan is something that cures. And Krishna said, I will give this medicine to you too, so that you can give it to others to cure them of the material contamination in the age of Kali. In the commentary to this verse, Harisori, he also, because this shloka contains the philosophical basis of Damodar Leela, he also describes the symbolism of the Leela in the commentary to this verse. So he talks about 8 metaphors that appear in the Leela. So the Leela begins with Yashoda feeding Krishna. Right? And the understanding is that Krishna is saying that if anyone gives me happiness, then he gets great favor from me. Now how can one give Krishna happiness? Any ideas? How can one make Krishna happy? By offering love. What else?
Serving.
By serving. What else?
By doing what he would like to do, by pleasing him.
Kush, right?
By serving his devotees.
Serving his devotees. Very good. Very
Making
good.
his devotees happy.
Making his devotees happy. Yes. So the first step in making Krishna, serving Krishna is following his instructions. Right? There's no question of making somebody happy if you're constantly ignoring the instruction. Right? You know, a father says to the son that, do you love me? Yes, I love you. Can you do this for me? Absolutely not. Right? And then the son comes again, Dad, I love you so much. Can you do this for me? Too busy to do it. Right? It's just superficial. Right? So first step is following Krishna's instructions. And as you shared, what are the instructions that Krishna gives? serve my devotee. Right? One of the most potent instructions Krishna gives. Serve me with whatever you have. Man manabhav mathatto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Right? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Whatever little bit you have. Flour, water, food, just serve me. So that is Yashoda feeding Krishna. Then, after that, Yashoda leaves Krishna. So, a jiva who was serving Krishna, if he turns his face away from him, such a jiva is not caring about the relationship with the Lord. Then, why did Yashoda leave Krishna? To secure the pot of milk. Why do the jivas leave Krishna? For miserly material benefits. Right? Then Krishna breaks the pot of yogurt. So, as the jiva pursues these meagerly material benefits, Krishna takes away the real spiritual wealth, which is the bliss of their enjoyment with Krishna. Then Krishna, so after that what happens in the Leela? Krishna breaks the yogurt pot and Krishna runs away. So, in the life of such a person, Krishna disappears. Then, what was the next thing? Yashoda Mai runs after Krishna. When such a person again starts pursuing the spiritual life, desiring to re-establish the relationship with Krishna, then the seventh is Krishna gives up, Yashoda Mai gives up the stick. That in pursuing Krishna, the person gives up their material connection, gives up their false ego, and the eighth is Yashoda catches Krishna. For such devotees, Krishna is very easily accessible. Krishna allows himself to be caught again. So, essentially, in this verse or in the verses up to this point, Harisori describes the fall and the rise of the jiva. That we were all initially with Krishna, happily enjoying. At some point we turned away, seeking material profits. Because of that, Krishna stepped out of our lives, taking away the wealth of Krishna Prema from us. And then, by the mercy of Vaishnava Kripa and Guru Kripa, when the jiva starts running after Krishna again, when the jiva gives up the attachment to material sense gratification, false ego, Krishna becomes quickly caught in the love of such a devotee. Okay? So we'll move on to the next verse, 13, 14. Who's reciting this one? Okay, no worries, I'll recite. Na chanta na bahiryasya na purvam na pichaparam purvaparam bahischanta jagato yo jagachasha tam matvatmajam avyaktam matalingam madokshajam Gopiko dukhale dhamna Bhabanda prakritam yatha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, He is all pervading. Because He is not under the influence of the elements of time, for Him there is no difference between past, present and future. He exists in His own transcendental form at all times. being absolute, beyond relativity. He is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That manifested person, who is beyond the perception of the senses, had now appeared as a human child, and Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. So, Sukadeva Goswami speaks this verse over here because he's an expert on Krishna Katha. So he's speaking this, and then people are getting carried away. Like Krishna drinking milk, running away, breaking pot. But he does not want them to make offenses against Krishna. So even when Krishna is running away in fear of his mother Yashoda, he is still the Supreme Personality of God. Right? What's the very first line in the Damodar Ashtakam? Namam Ishwaram Sachidananda. Right? So, Satyavrata starts with this reminder that what I am going to speak to you is about the Namam Ishwaram Sachidananda. Right? It's about the Supreme Personality of Godhead to which one gives obeisances. It is the one who is eternally full of knowledge and bliss. And then he says, Yashoda Biyolu. Like, he ran away in fear of Mother Yashoda. So he does not want to start with Krishna running away in fear of Mother Yashoda. People will start making offenses. That Krishna is an ordinary boy, maybe is a great personality who had some reflections of divinity. Krishna is always the personality of God. Whether he is running away in fear of Mother Yashoda, or whether he is in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or whether he is annihilating powerful demons like Kamsa and Trinavarta and so many other demons. He is always the personality of Godhead. So Sukadeva Goswami, very poetically, he describes the infinity of Krishna. And he is describing the infinity here because what is Yashoda Mai going to try to do? She is going to try and bind that infinity. So he is describing the infinity, nacha antar na bahar yasya, that he has no inside and outside. Why doesn't he have any inside? Because he is inside everything. In what form? As Paramatma. Right? And why doesn't he have any outside? Because everything is inside him. So he can't have any outside. Na purvam, na pi chaparam. No beginning and no end. Why? Because sarvakarana karana. Because he is the cause of all causes, but he does not have a cause. That time is an energy of Krishna, but time does not act upon Krishna. Then Purvaparam Bahis Chantar Jagato Yo Jagat Chaya. That he is the beginning and the end, the inside and the outside of the entire cosmic manifestation. So therefore he says, this is Adhoksajam. So Krishna's name as Adhoksajam means that one who is beyond the senses. So not only is he Adhoksajam in terms of being infinite, he is also Adhoksajam in terms of being finite. When somebody is seeing Krishna as a small boy tied to a mortar, then one would say, how is he Adhoksajam? Because this is a small wooden mortar which is a material thing and Krishna is tied to it. How is he Adhoksajam? He is still Adhoksajam because nobody can understand how can the infinite allow itself to be trapped within the finite. The potencies of Krishna are beyond one's material understanding. So,
Next one. We're going to the next one. I'll do the next one.
okay, good. So Mother Yashoda makes this resolve that I'll tie him to the ukal. So why does she want to tie him to the ukal?
heavy.
Because it's heavy, that's a good point. What else?
She can focus on what she is supposed to do and Krishna
Right.
will not disturb.
Right. But why Ukhal? She could have tied him to a tree, she could have tied him to another piece of furniture.
Vocal, in last class you mentioned it is represents the lowest and Krishna sitting on top of it like controlling. So she is saying him like you are controlled. Kind of.
Okay. Thank you.
Because Ukhal was also involved in Krishna's stealing. He would stand on it and
Yeah.
get to the pot.
Because they are
So
co-conspirators.
he was a co-conspirator.
Because Krishna was on Ukhal, sitting on the Ukhal, giving butter. So Mother Yashoda said, both of you have been troubling me. Right? Ukhal, because Krishna is small. On himself, by himself he can't do much. But the Ukhal was helping. So he says, she said, I'll try both of you together. So she decides to tie Krishna to the Ukhal. Okay, we'll move on to the next verse.
10.9.15 Taddama patyamanasya swarbhakasya kritagasaha triangulonam abhuktena santadesnyacha gopika. Translation. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join to it.
So now comes the famous binding pastime. Right? Yashoda Mai trying to bind Krishna to the Ukhal and the rope falling 2 fingers short. And we won't go in that depth, but the acharyas have commented very, very extensively on why was the 2 fingers short. Everything to do with Krishna is glorious. In Vraj, they had this whole spy network that was carrying news about Krishna everywhere. And that's what everybody would do. They would basically say, did you know Krishna has done this? And then the news would spread in the spy network. And then the gopis would strategize that, okay, Krishna is doing this, he has stolen this, so he's coming to our house, let us do this. And then in the evening they would sing songs about Krishna. That, he's that thief is doing this and that. In the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, Bhagavatam is the Amal Puran. Amal Puran means, so what is Mal? Mal is dirtiness. And anything that is impure. In the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami talks about the urine of Krishna. Right? It says that when Krishna goes to the houses where he doesn't get any yogurt, he's so upset that he passes urine over there. Now Sukadeva Goswami, great sage, speaking Bhagavatam. But if a small boy passing urine, why would he put that in Bhagavatam? But this is Krishna. So even Krishna doing that is matter of fascination for the devotees. So so if you were tying a dhoti and comes 2 fingers short, nobody will care about it. Right? They'll say you're just eating too much. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares about that. But Yashoda Mai trying a thread around Krishna's waist and coming 2 fingers short, then there are books and books and books of commentaries that are written on it. That's the glory of the personality of Godhead. When Radharani cast a sidelong glance, the poets, they write poetries after poetries on sidelong glass. If you cast a sidelong glass, people will think you have eye problem, right? You have squint or something. Radharani puts one sidelong glass, Radha Kataksh, one sidelong glance of Srimati Radharani, and Lord Shiva is the author, right, of Radha Kataksh. Rupa Goswami? Okay. But you see great demigods, great personalities glorifying that single sidelong glance of of Srimati Radharani. So, so by now, the whole spy network in Braj had been activated. That Krishna did this, he ran, he's caught, Mother Yashoda is trying to tie him to the ukha. So all the gopis, they came, it was a festival for them. Right? So they all came and they congregated around the courtyard. And so I don't know if you have, well, Satyajivan Prabhu has experience living in a village where people give you advice very freely. Right? You go there and somebody will. I remember once we had gone to Vrindavan when I was a child, and when we were coming back, our car, it had mechanical problem, and in the middle of some village, this was back in the 70s, Vrindavan was nothing like what it was now. So somewhere, we just come out of Vrindavan's car, it had mechanical problem, it went bad. And these farmers over there, they were coming and giving advice how to fix the car. Like, they would come and, does it have petrol? Did you check it? And my father said, yes, I checked that. That was the first thing I checked. Okay. How about the engine? Is the engine working properly? Well, the car is not running, so the engine is not working properly. So, and it was interesting. After some time, my father got so exasperated, he stopped answering. Because everybody would come and give some advice. One person, he didn't even know where the engine was, in the front or the back. He was still giving advice. He was like, did you open it over there? Maybe there is some engine over there. And my father is an automobile engineer, so he was very, he was like, But at the same time, they were very helpful. They, they actually pushed the car almost 2 kilometers. So they said there was a garage over there. So one person would push for some time, and then he would say, call that person. And that person would come and they would say, push the car. And they would push the car. So this was a relay push. And they actually pushed it 2 kilometers did not ask for anything, no money, nothing. So everybody is giving Mother Yashoda advice. And somebody is saying, he should not. Lala, Chota, Jane do. Somebody is saying, Badmash, don't let him go there. And Mother Yashoda, she's focusing on what she wants to do. That she wants to tie Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada writes here that here is the first chapter in Krishna's exhibition of unlimited potency to Mother Yashoda. So he is going to display his potency now. How? By not allowing himself to get bound. So far Krishna is displaying his potency as a small child, doing all the naughty things. Now he is going to display his potency as Ishvara, as the personality of Godhead. Okay? So we'll go to the next verse 16.
Yada sittadapi nyunam tenanyadapi sandade tadapi jiyangulam nyunam yadyad adatta bandhanam. Translation. This new rope also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome.
So why does Krishna not want to get bound? Right? So acharyas have a good time churning this nectar. So some Harisori says that this whole thing started because Krishna was sitting comfortably in the lap of Mother Yashoda drinking her milk. He wants to go back to that position. He says, don't tie me over here and leave me, but take me back in your lap and continue to feed me. Some other acharyas say that by now the day has started, so time for Krishna's excursion in the village to go and harass different people. So he does not want to get bound. He says, I have other important duties to do. So does not want to get bound there. Now, Mother Yashoda is getting perplexed that she's she's thinking that is my child a Mayavi, that even though I'm tying different ropes, making them longer, they're still coming out to be 2 fingers short. So she takes Krishna and puts him on her lap, and continues with trying to tie Krishna to the ukha. So another reason for Krishna to resist being tied, because the whole pastime starts with Sukadeva Goswami saying Yani Yani Gita, that Mother Yashoda, while she was churning butter, what she was doing? She was singing the glories of Krishna. Krishna likes that. That's why we do kirtan. It pleases Krishna. So now he is sitting on the lap of Mother Yashoda and is listening to the heart beating in her chest. And what is Krishna's heart beating? Yani Yani Gita. So every atom in Mother Yashoda's body is glorifying Krishna. So Krishna is so taken in by the kirtan that's going in the body of Mother Yashoda, the beating of her heart, her breath. So he's totally absorbed in that, and he's saying, don't, because once you tie me, you will leave me. So I don't want to get tied. Acharya said that particular kirtan that Krishna was hearing, Mother Yashoda had never heard before. Why? Because it was Rudra kirtan. Because Mother Yashoda was externally happy, externally angry. So generally when we sing kirtan, we sing in a very devotional mood, in a loving mood. But here Mother Yashoda has that anger. But she can't help it. Her body is always singing the glories of Krishna. So Krishna said, this is a new tune. I haven't really heard this one. So he does not want that to be disturbed. So Hari Swari says that some children like to play in the sun, some children like to play in the rain, some children like to play alone, some with others. Krishna is Rasaraj. He wants to do everything. So he likes hearing kirtan in the mood of love, the mood of devotion, but also he likes to hear the kirtan in the body of Mother Yashoda, Rudra kirtan. We can't do that, of course. We don't want to do that, but that is Krishna's mode of mellows. So why is the rope short? So another name of rope is gunas. Right? Gunas is also the modes of material nature. So the acharyas say that one can never capture Krishna with the modes of material nature. So even with the mode of goodness, if somebody thinks that by piety they can capture Krishna, even that's not going to be happening. If somebody says that I will perform vratas, I will give in charity, I will do all the purificatory samskars, and then I will attain Krishna, even that will not happen. Like we had that pastime in Mahaprabhu Leela when he was doing Sankirtan and Srinivasangan. There was a Brahman who was very, very pure. He used to drink milk only. And when Mahaprabhu found out he was hiding and listening to the Kirtan, he was very angry, saying that only by pure devotion can I be attained, not by any of the modes. Far from the mode of ignorance and passion, not even the mode of goodness. So, same time Mother Yashoda is perspiring. And the drops of perspiration are falling at the feet of Krishna. And on behalf of Mother Yashoda, they are praying to Krishna, don't trouble your Maya so much. Allow yourself to get bound. So because they're coming from the body of Mother Yashoda, they're devotees of Mother Yashoda. They are anti-Krishna camp at this time. They are pro-Yashoda Mai camp. But they're falling at the feet of Krishna and saying that, stop harassing your mother like this. Allow yourself to be bound. Okay. So we will do, how are we doing with time? Do we want to stop here?
You can still go on for another 6-7 minutes.
Okay, because the next verse is a long verse.
Or it's a really long one. No, then better to take a pause.
Take a pause?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you cannot complete in 6 to 10 minutes, then take a pause.
10 minutes. We can do.
10 minutes you can.
Yeah. So we do verse 17 then?
10:9:17 एवं स्वः गेहदामानि यशोदा संध्यपि गोपीनां सुषमयन्तीनां शमयन्ती विस्मिता भवत् Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever rope were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda's friend, the elderly Gopi in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder.
So the climax of the pastime is approaching now. That Krishna does not want to get bound, and Mother Yashoda is determined to bind him. So as the ropes are becoming short, Mother Yashoda first took the ropes in her own house. Even they were short. Then all the other gopis, they very obligingly said, don't worry, we'll get you more ropes. Just make sure you tie him. So they went to their houses and they started getting ropes. And Mother Yashoda would tie them end to end, and it would still come 2 fingers short. So Hariswari says that this went on for 12 hours. That the pastime of binding Krishna begins at Brahma Muhurat, little after Brahma Muhurat, and continues all the way till the evening, till late evening. So what does this demonstrate? It demonstrates the resilience and the determination of Yashoda. So normally speaking, after some time Yashoda Maya would say, okay, let it be. I have other things to do. But the more determined Krishna became to not be bound, the more determined Yashoda Maya became to bind him. In the end, who wins? Yashoda Maya. The more determined Krishna becomes to escape his devotees, if the devotees become more determined to catch him, they will always win. So Krishna is supreme. He never loses. But he always loses to his devotees. Whenever there is a confrontation with his devotee, Krishna loses. And he comes out glorious because of that. Arjun made him his charioteer. You know, a charioteer is the job of a Shudra. Arjun made him his charioteer. Draupadi made him her garment supplier, Vaishya, selling clothes, right? So he didn't charge any money, of course, but Draupadi made him as garment supplier. So the determination of a devotee will always defeat Krishna. What to speak of Maya Devi? Maya Devi is nothing. In front of the determination of a devotee, the external energy of Krishna is nothing. Even the proprietor of that energy submits to the determination of a devotee. So now Mother Yashoda is not determined to bind him because of ego, saying that, let me show you that I am greater than you. But the sentiment that is going on in her mind now is that if despite all the ropes Krishna is not bound, everybody will think that Krishna is a Mayavi. My child is a normal child. There is nothing wrong with him. I decided to bind him, to bind him, and I was able to bind him successfully. Because all the ladies in Braj, they're standing there observing what's going on. Yashodamai doesn't want to follow to start with, that Krishna could not be bound, something wrong with that child. So Mother Yashoda is that, my child is a normal child. He is my son. I cannot accept the fact that there is something inexplicable about it. So, the mystery of two fingers. I'm going to speak about a few understandings of this, but not in details, because that would take too long. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that in the previous verse Sukadeva Goswami mentioned that Krishna is all-pervasive and all-powerful. He has no beginning and no end. So then, how can we tie it in the middle? Yashodamai was trying to tie that thread around the waist of Krishna. So Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying he does not have a middle. You can have a middle when you have a beginning and an end. But Sukadeva Goswami just now said that he has no beginning and no end. So how can he have a middle? So Yashodamai was not able to tie him. Second understanding, that unless one gets the mercy of the devotees, one cannot get the mercy of the Lord. And the mercy of the Lord is the service of the devotee. So the two fingers represent Bhagavad Kripa and Bhagwan Kripa. Bhagwan Kripa is the mercy of Krishna. Bhagavad Kripa is the mercy of the devotees. So if somebody tries to establish a relationship with Krishna in exclusion with the relationship of his devotees, that endeavor will not be successful. It will fall two fingers short. You need both the mercy of Krishna and the mercy of the devotees. Hari Sauri says the two fingers also represent the two sons of Kuvera that Krishna is going to liberate later on. So, Krishna is saying that I'm going to be liberating you. They were not really devotees, but by the mercy of Narad Muni, Krishna considered them as devotees. So he said, there are two devotees who are waiting for my liberation. So don't bind me right now. I have more important work to do. Take care of my devotees. And the fourth, which is the commonly understood one, is the two fingers represent endeavor and mercy. So when a devotee begins to endeavor to make spiritual advancement, when the mercy of Krishna manifests, then the devotion is complete. So Mother Yashoda is endeavoring really hard. And then the mercy of Krishna manifests. We'll see in the next verse. Then the mercy of Krishna manifests. So it's not that the devotees are lazy, saying that if Krishna wants, he will make me his devotee. Krishna is the supreme controller. If he wants to make me a devotee, he will make me a devotee. Krishna knows my heart. He knows that I have so many desires. So if he wants to fulfill those desires, then it's all up to him. In the meantime, I'll sit back and watch television. Right? So, not going to happen. Jiva Goswami, I'm sorry, this is Hari Sori again, who says that if you consider the ropes to represent gunas, the modes, then one should understand that the glance of Krishna breaks the gunas. That when a jiva is bound by the ropes and Krishna glances at him, then the rope breaks. So how can that guna capture Krishna? How can that which is broken by the glance of Krishna ever capture Krishna? That is why it is not possible for the rope to bind Krishna. And Jiva Goswami he gives a slightly humorous interpretation. He says that actually it was not 2 fingers short. He says it was many fingers short. But the 2 fingers is a colloquial phrase. It's like you ask somebody that how far is that person's house?
2 minutes.
He says 2 minutes दूर है, 2 कदम आगे है, 2 उंगल की दूरी पे है. Right, so it's a colloquial term just to show that it is somewhere around. So Jiva Goswami says that Sukdev Goswami is saying 2 fingers short to indicate that it was
Quite short.
short. So these are the few explanations. Like I said, there are many more, and each one of them have many tattvas embedded in them. What does it mean when you consider the ropes to be the gunas? Right? We won't go in that. We'll stop over here and resume from the. So next would be the liberation of the sons of Kubera. We'll do that next week. Right? Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki